Drake got caught up in some stuff. Australian man caught in online casino lawsuit with Drake and Aiden Ross. I know you're wondering, who is the Australian man? The Australian man, Nguyen, is identified in the complaint as the owner of the Instagram news clipping account Grand Wizard Chat Nigga. Grand Wizard Chat Nigga. Now, if that sounds familiar, it should.
I'm just asking if that individual runs the account.
Oh, they was on Grand Wizard's dick. I swear. I swear.
I'm just asking if that individual runs the account. Who does run the academics TV accounts?
Ran by multiple people, but one of my close friends does run it. His name is Grand Wizard. He runs that. Grand Wizard Chat Nigga. Here we go.
He called him a close friend, and he says he runs one of his associated accounts, Academics TV.
Grand Wizard Chat. What?
Nigga.
Okay. So here, clearly, that's why.
Okay, it's Grand Wizard Chat Nigga. It's all one word.
And I had to cut a lot of this to get to the more pertinent parts because he's just very loud and annoying, and he goes off on unnecessary tangents. It's very weird.
And I think, for purposes of this,
With the A, not
fine.
the O.
Understood? It's great. That's what I feel most comfortable to say. With the individual who runs the Grand Wizard Chat account.
He was a huge supporter of mine, going back for probably over 10 years. And I've always, embraced the audience as you guys helped me build a platform. The platform belongs to you as well. So he's kind of done his thing and built up a great meme page and, utilize the fact that we had an audience, provided related content, built up his page. And then eventually at a certain point, I was saying, hey, listen, I gotta do a million things. I gotta stream. I gotta do these. I gotta do a business call. Okay, I'm not gonna play everything. Listen, Grand's my man. Y'all know Grand's my man. Okay.
Grand is my man. Y'all know Grand is my man. Okay. Let's head into the civil action. This is a civil action because this is a class action complaint, which will result in a demand for a jury trial. We have Sweepstakes Limited as the defendants, aka Stake.us, Aubrey Drake Graham, aka Drake, Aiden Ross, and George Nguyen. And to be fair, I have no idea who the plaintiffs are, but considering this is a class action, I don't think it particularly matters. This honestly feels like the state's taking action against them, but they have to go under the guise of a class action. Like this, whatever this is, this feels like it has the potential to be something much bigger. I'm just noticing all of these weird interconnected nature between these hip-hop platforms and these white supremacists and this the crypto, like all this stuff is very odd, very weird. But the complaint seems like it's primarily going through Virginia. It says defendants Drake, Ross, and Nguyen have also made use of Stake, including through its U.S. storefront Stake.us, to directly transfer money between and among themselves using Stake's tipping program, an unlimited and wholly unregulated money transmitter that appears to exist outside the oversight of any financial regulator. Defendants have utilized Stake's tipping program to inter alia transfer gambling proceeds wagered through the Stake platform. In addition, through Stake's tipping function, defendants have financed a combined artificial streaming or botting to create fraudulent streams of Drake's music, fabricate popularity, disparage competitors, and music label executives. And disparage competitors sounds very familiar to what the Milagro Grams lawsuit was about. Also says distort recommendation algorithms and distribute financing for all of the foregoing while concealing the flow of funds. This is the concealing part of it because this is also part of the RICO. They're alleging a RICO. This is why I'm saying this things feel like it's going to be a lot bigger than whatever this is. At the heart of the scheme, Drake, acting directly and through willing and knowledgeable co-conspirators, has deployed automated bots and streaming farms to artificially inflate play counts of his music across major platforms such as Spotify. These inauthentic streams, interjected via interstate digital pathways, were calibrated to mislead royalty and recommendation engines, manufacture popularity, distort playlists and charts, and divert both value and audience attention in tandem. This manipulation has suppressed authentic artists and narrowed consumers' access to legitimate content by undermining the integrity of curated experiences. Tipping proceeds and other transfers on and from Stake.us went directly or indirectly from defendant Drake to, through, or with the knowledge and assistance of defendant Ross, and on from there to defendant Nguyen served as a facilitator and operational broker, alternatively converting Stake-based cryptocurrency to cash, or receiving cash from Stake-transferred cryptocurrency proceeds. From there, Nguyen interfaced with bot vendors, supervised coordinated amplification strategies, because I believe that was also part of Megan's lawsuit against Milagro, that these individuals were working together to amplify and push false stories, and integrated paid clipping campaigns. The clipping campaigns were facilitated through the clipping service and affiliated networks on X, formerly Twitter, Discord, and Kick platforms. Kick, in turn, is a betting platform financially underwritten by the founders of Stake. Public posts, chat logs, leaked communications, and other records document Nguyen's direct handling of funds through multiple payment platforms, orchestration of narrative surges, and amplification alongside and as an instrument of Drake and Ross. So we can see the parties, talks about the plaintiffs and class of Stake.us holders. This is saying that this is about unlawful gambling, but it also mentions the fact that Drake and the other two were engaging, especially Nguyen, were engaging in amplification campaigns. And that's the part that seemed odd to mention in this, because if it seems as if this is about a gambling situation, but they're bringing in the fact that they did this whole scheme, which again is related to that Milagro Graham situation. Factual allegations. So Stake.us conducts an illegal gambling business within the meaning of 18 U.S.C. section 195. Publicly filed civil enforcement and consumer actions across multiple states accuse Stake.us of unlawful gambling operations, including Minnesota, South Carolina, Massachusetts, Alabama, Illinois, and California. Stake's online operations also violate Virginia law, which prohibits online gaming. So Virginia is involved too. So you have how many states? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 states so far that seem to be a part of this whole class action. It looks like when they were doing their investigation of Stake, that's when they probably found what was going on with Drake. So it says Drake, Ross, and Nguyen have further incentive to promote and mask the true nature and extent of their conduct on and around Stake. Since at least 22, Drake and those acting under his direction, including Ross and Nguyen. So they're saying that Ross and Nguyen were acting under Drake's direction, which is fascinating when we'll get back to academics, have made use of Stake.com and Stake.us to covertly finance and orchestrate procurement of botting and streaming farm activities to artificially inflate the number of plays attributed to Drake's catalog across major digital streaming services such as Spotify. Stake.us facilitates these covert financing schemes through its user-to-user tipping and internal transfers that effectively obscure the identities of counterparties. Through these mechanisms, withdrawals are recorded merely as Stake transactions, concealing their true origin and recipients. These transactional features enable the concealment, covert routing, and disbursement of funds to bot operators, intermediaries, and amplifiers integral to sustaining and expanding the artificial streaming and amplification operations. Payments between Drake and Ross extended beyond direct exchanges. Public records and leaked communications revealed intermediary transfer to bot vendors and logistics facilitators, including Nguyen, a known recipient of payments linked to clipping and amplification campaigns. Portions of funds transmitted through Stake's tipping and internal transfers passed through to bot vendors and amplification intermediaries to perpetuate and scale manipulation activities. Nguyen, known in online forums as Grand Wizard or Grand Wizard Chat Nigga or Grand Wizard CN, function and appears to continue to function as a broker and operational facilitator for these schemes. He is publicly connected to Weekdays Capital and the clipping service, which orchestrated paid clipping campaigns intrinsically tied to streaming numbers and influencer content, including campaigns involving Drake and Ross. And we have no idea what George Nguyen looks like. I can't find a picture of him. But based off his last name, he's Vietnamese. He's a Vietnamese Australian man. And based off of his online moniker of Grand Wizard Chat Nigga, he's also very much a racist. And this relationship between a lot of these fucking hip-hop platforms and these goddamn white supremacists cannot be understated. These people are literally parasitic worms that have embedded themselves into the guts of hip-hop and are feeding off of it and manipulating it. Drake being involved in this white supremacist shit should not be shocking to anybody. And it's also fascinating that there's this whole conversation on Twitter where this man called Aiden Ross, who is also associated with white supremacists because he had one on his podcast advocating for him during the presidency by the name of Donald Trump, is currently online talking about how Doechii is an industry plant. When the industry plant, if we're being honest, this entire time was fucking Drake. It's always been Drake. Cash Money, Young Money. Wayne and his weird ass shit. Nicki and her weird ass shit. Drake and his weird ass shit. All of them are a part of this shit. They came into hip hop, ingratiated themselves, lied, deceived, and then started slowly but surely shifting the dynamics of their fandoms to the right wing and to white supremacy. That's what they've done. Man, this shit is crazy. And Ack just said Nguyen was running one of his associated accounts. Nguyen's public posts include corroboration by Ross, who on stream declared, quote, "I'm friends with Grand Wizard. That's my dog." Who famously said, "Grand is my man." Anybody? Bueller? I remember Ack talking about Drake and Stake on his local live stream.
Slow down. That's more important.
I'm sorry, you can continue if you hadn't finished answering the question.
So agreeing, yes, I've helped and been paid to promote many of the big stars in the game. However, when you list those names, you actually list one of the few names that I haven't. You know, and it's not that happy about it, but just never did. The majority of other artists have probably mentioned, yes, in some way form. Yes.
And you said that you weren't so happy about not being paid to promote Drake, and it's probably due to your blind loyalty. Are you blindly loyal to Drake? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm talking about from a fan perspective, because I'm a fan of the music. So about him. Okay, and your chat, for anybody who's confused by me saying blind loyalty, I'm going to give, and I ain't gonna lie, I remember this analogy because I hit it out of the park off the top of the dome. Listen to this analogy, and that's exactly what I mean. It would be more lucrative for me to be this size.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, and I don't care, but they're effectively working through this deposition to try to establish how he gets paid. He's saying he primarily gets paid through the promotion of other artists, which primarily comes from record labels and things of that nature.
Media personality to have this size platform and never speak about Drake, because then it would have to be a thing where Republic could only get to my platform through money, and because it's Drake, I would pass him. But because I speak about it all the time, and here's the analogy. Analogy's so crazy. Listen, enough where maybe paying me for promotion doesn't make sense. If someone has a show about a Mercedes car, you don't need in those 30-second ad breaks to continue to promote Mercedes cars. So I think that's what kind of happens. Like, for example, some people online believe I've been paid.
He's effectively trying to say that because he's a big Drake fan, that he doesn't take money from him, or it doesn't make sense to pay him to promote Drake because he'll do it anyway.
To promote Tekashi 6ix9ine, never have, and never did. Of course, the reason why I said not that happy about it is because they have huge budgets, of course I would want it. However, all of those associations usually pays itself back. Exclusive interviews, information that we leak, it's usually worth its weight in gold. So we don't look at, oh man, we didn't get paid from this person, but yeah.
Did you ever leak exclusive information from someone on Drake's camp?
Yeah, yeah, sure, of course.
What type of information have you leaked that you received from Drake's camp?
Usually clear rumors. That's it could be, someone, we live in the age of misinformation where fans have now, weaponize lies and misinformation to try to take down someone's, actually, that sound like defamation, right? So they would try to make his character look very unsavory or just like he's a horrible person. And, if he's sending out a tweet saying, hey, listen, no, I didn't steal the candy from the candy shop, every 20 seconds, he'll never get music done. So, at times when it bubbles to the radar where we have to talk about it, I personally, I could be like, hey, Drake, is this true? And he'll be like, hey, listen, here's the proof. It happens a lot with people saying, hey, I know this guy, where I did this. He'll send me his DM with the person. I never spoke to this person. This person's been messaging, talking to himself, it's a one-sided conversation in the DMs for like 18 years, and now they're claiming X, Y, and Z. So, yeah.
Do you communicate with him one-on-one and he gives you that information, or do you go through somebody on his team?
I speak with him one-on-one.
How long have you had contact with him one-on-one like that?
By the way, I want to remind y'all, we're in the deposition for Meg Thee Stallion and Milagro Cooper. They want to know about my relationship with Drake. Huh? I think about to ask me, yo, did you really buy the 30 body pillows? The 30 Drake body pillows?
I'm of two minds when it comes to academics as to what he's doing. Part of me, especially a couple months ago when I first saw this, I'm thinking to myself, this guy has to be an idiot. And when I say an idiot, what I mean is that he's arrogant. And his arrogance is going to cause him to make a mistake, which is why I'm sitting there like, you're in a deposition. This is a legal dispute. Whether you're a named defendant or not, it doesn't make sense to engage in this circus act. But he's just laboring under the guise that he's doing it because it's content and he just wants to monetize it, which is okay. I get that. But now I'm beginning to wonder, because he has such a tight relationship with Drake, I wonder if he leaked this shit in an effort to try to help him or to try to tip certain people off so that they can try to get ahead of whatever the fuck was coming down the pipe. I do wonder. It could be his arrogance, which caused him to do this dumbass shit and to sit up there and acknowledge his connection between these people. But I don't think he's that dumb. So I do have to wonder, given his relationship with Drake and how he talks about it so much, and his relationship with George Nguyen and Steak, I'm wondering if this was his way of trying to say, hey, people are asking questions about you guys in this Milagro Grams case, which doesn't make sense. But when you look at the recent court documents, yeah, no, it does. It makes sense. If the allegation is that you guys are operating this effective farm where you're engaging in this kind of pay-to-play amplification scheme, and the allegation was that you were amplifying false stories, no, it would make sense for them to be digging into this.
This shit is nice as a blush. I don't know why they want to know that. I don't know why when I see a message of their group chat, they're in there typing OVO. I don't know. I don't know. You got to tell me. I don't know. Right before they say...
I think you do know. I think you do know. We're going to move on, and this is where we talk about Steak.
Let me just take this off for a second because I want to play that.
Feels me to say that you've never been paid any compensation, whether crypto or any other medium, for posting specific content or not posting specific content. You've only been paid to promote music.
So he's already established that he has not been paid in any way, shape, or form to post specific types of content. Right? The allegation is that they were using Steak to bypass all of the traditional mechanisms that financial forensics would use to draw and make these inferences and connections.
You mentioned earlier that you've had conversations with Drake about, selling your...
Bro, how the fuck are they keep asking about Drake?
Rumors that exist about him. It seems like you guys have a pretty good relationship. Is that fair?
Yeah. It's my boy.
Has he ever sent you any sort of cryptocurrency or digital assets for any reason?
Drake has never transferred a dollar with me. Sad as That's a joke.
And it's like, I know he says that he hasn't gotten any money from Drake, but the problem is, at least according to the documentation, Nguyen was working under Drake's direction, and Nguyen was running one of his accounts, and he's someone that he has a fairly intimate relationship with. And I only say intimate because he said, at least he said he's known him for 10 years. So is the separation between Ack and Drake actually there or not?
How do you typically do your banking?
Do what? Oh, then they start asking about steak. I think it's a
Compensation for your work?
Nope. Wait, hold on, let me see. Nope. Let me see.
So you don't have any kind of Citibank, brokerage accounts, JP Morgan, anything like that? No, nothing from Alliance Bernstein?
Nope.
Do you have any joint accounts with anybody through which you
When people start asking you about your banking information and where you get your money, yeah, it's bigger than that.
receive any kind of compensation for your work?
Nope.
What is steak?
Eddie, Rock Nation on your ass too. Rock Nation on your ass too. What's steak? Hello, what we talking about now?
They know something he doesn't know. Or maybe they know something he does know. You see what I'm saying? And whatever's coming down the pipe for him, it's coming. And because one of the things that I've noticed about certain black men, especially in hip hop, is that they have a tendency to try to fight their legal battles in the court of public opinion and not in the actual court. And I'm wondering if he was actively trying to use this to start crafting narratives that somehow, that if he does get caught up in this windstorm, that, oh, it was Rock Nation, because that's immediately where a lot of his supporters are going to go with this nonsense. They're probably going there already. Rock Nation, Rock Nation. No, it ain't Rock Nation, brother. Y'all were doing some weird-ass, illegal-ass shit, and you were trying to hide it. And now you're realizing people found out. And as right now, it's a civil action, because especially with this government, I don't know if you're going to get any criminal action from this government, but assuming that there is another government, another administration, there's high probability there's going to be criminal charges filed. And Drake, academics, Aiden Ross, and this George Nguyen guy, and probably a whole host of other people, because a lot of them are tied to that Milagro Graham shit. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't watched Tasha K, but I don't know. She might be involved in it too, because she was a part of the nonsense too. Point is, a lot of these bloggers and influencers, a lot of them are going to get caught up in some weird shit.
What are you talking about? Yo, Jay-Z, I know you didn't get your gambling contract in Times Square, but if you're trying to get down with steak, I'll put you on the phone with Eddie. Yo, we get you on steak. I know you see Drake running it up. How Rock Nation and Meg Thee Stallion lawyers asking about steak? Steak is a online gambling company.
And it's a crypto-based online gambling company, right?
Well, yeah, I think they're based in crypto, but they also deal with, cash release fund withdrawals, yeah.
And they were a sponsor of one of yours previously?
Yeah, great guys. Steak is great people. Steak is amazing people. They've only treated me with the utmost respect. Rock Nation, I see what y'all got going on. I get it. Meg Thee Stallion album may not be doing too well. Nobody's taking her musically. People think she's a liar. But what that got to do with my good folks over at steak.com?
I think you know.
I'm in the US, so I prefer steak.us. But still, ask me all type of questions. You go from Drake to steak. No, I get it. Meg Thee Stallion album may not be doing too well. Nobody's taking her musically. People think she's a liar. But what that got to do with my good folks over at steak.com? I'm in the US, so I prefer steak.us. But still, ask
Steak.us. I prefer steak.us. Okay.
me all type of questions. You go from Drake to steak? What?
I don't know why I froze with his face like that. I do want... I think you know, Ack. I think you know.
Did you get to know, let me back up and ask you the question. Did you ever get to know or meet the individuals who own steak?
Oh, this is federal. This is federal, Jack. They want to know you met the niggas who own this shit. What?
And that's the part that really got me, because now he understands this is some federal shit. And it's like, if you know that it's potentially federal, they're asking you about where you're getting your money from. They're asking you about Drake. They're asking you about this. Why would you risk putting this shit out on the fucking internet? I can't get past that. I understand he could be an arrogant douche nozzle who just thinks that nothing can touch him. Or this nigga was trying to run interference. I do have to wonder about that shit. Because come on, dog. I call him an idiot, but he's not an idiot. Why would you risk it? Why would you risk it?
No.
How did you get connected with the individuals at stake to be in a sponsor relationship?
Nah, this is fair shit. This is fair shit. Fair shit. I'm gonna skip past some of this. I think my answer was, I did a deal with Dubits back in the day, and after I did a deal with Dubits, I think Sting approached me. I'm gonna say it. Just like I think another streamer introduced me.
Do you remember who that streamer was?
Fan shit. I'm trying to remember. Who was it? I think it was Essential, but I didn't recall it at the time. I didn't recall. This was years ago. Actually, on second thought, I think what happened was I got introduced to a company named Dubits. I was doing business with Dubits, and Dubits, I think Steak then seen me, and then they approached me, and we started doing business. Shout out to Steak. Shout out to Steak. This is how, shout out to Steak. Shout out to Kick. Shout out to the game. What's how I'm talking about? Hey, listen, as long as you do it.
Shout out to Steak. Shout out to Kick. Again, these are all companies named in that fucking lawsuit in which they were effectively utilizing that platform to engage in fraudulent activities and move money around.
I asked my questions about Steak, so let's get past all that.
He's lucky that you got a criminal in the White House, because the odds of them actively trying to look into this are very low. But then again, they're racist as hell, and locking you dumb niggas up would just be an easy win for them. So I don't know. They might be incentivized to go after these stupid motherfuckers.
Don't get to the Tory argument. So when we get to Tory, start to come in, combat it. Like, it's not being so.
And I think he just starts going off the rails at that point, but we do got a criminal in the White House, so I wonder if somebody's gonna pay to make this go away. Probably.